Hello and welcome to part C of the 4th episode of Ukulele Jam Kit. In the last couple weeks, we've worked on a spicy chord progression and scale in E minor that utilizes the Dorian mode. So if you haven't checked that out, it's linked down in the description below. This week, though, we're going to work on a brand new strum pattern that features that chord progression to create a really nice percussive syncopated rhythm. This will be using the chunk technique, so if you're not familiar with it or you want a little bit of extra practice with the chunk, check out the link down below where you can find a full tutorial on how to do the technique. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this pattern. It looks something like this, and it's long. It's got 8 total beats of music here, which is twice as long as a lot of other patterns we play, and the reason for that is this is actually 2 bars worth of music. Each bar has 4 beats to it, hence the 8 total beats. So when we're practicing this, it's important to sort of keep in mind where you're at. And I find that saying the motions can really help build the muscle memory required to be able to play it fast. Now let's go ahead and try it. And when we're working on this, we're going to just use one chord from the part A of episode 4. And that chord that we're going to play first is an A chord. So to play this, middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the G string, index finger here on the 1st fret of the C, take your pinky and stretch out to the 4th fret of the A string. So for now, we're just going to play this chord over the whole series. And what this looks like is we're going to start with a down strum, and then the dotted arrow there means to miss, coming back up. Then we're going to do another down strum, and then another miss, coming back up. Then we're going to do another down, followed by an up, followed by the chunk, followed by another up. And that's the first half of this pattern. So let's just try that first half together. Nice and slow. I'm going to say the motions as I make them too. It looks something like this. 3 and 4 and down, miss, down, miss, down, up, chunk, up. Now the second half of this pattern I think is a little bit more difficult because what you're going to do is you're going to do a miss going down and then come up, chunk, up, miss going down, and then up, down, up. So the second half has a little bit more of that syncopation, meaning these accents on the offbeat. We'll talk more about what that means in a moment. But let's go ahead and try this second half now in time at a nice slow speed. 3 and 4 and miss, up, chunk, up, miss, up, down, up. So still just using our A chord here, let's go ahead and try this whole pattern. We're going to play it twice, one after another, all the way through at this nice slow speed. I'm going to say the motions as we make them. It should look and sound something like this. 3 and 4 and down, miss, down, miss, down, up, chunk, up, miss, up, chunk, up, miss, up, down, up. So if you listen to that pattern, it sounds really good, but at the slow speed, it's also not as good, right? And the reason is because when we play something slow like this, the perspective is lost. So I'm going to play it much faster so that you can really hear the groove of this. So 3 and 4 and. Again. Pretty neat, right? Sounds good. So now what we want to do as we're practicing this is we want to look at incorporating the chord progression. So we were just playing the A, which is actually the last chord of the progression. We're going to first do the E minor, then the D, then the A. And we're going to start with that E minor that we learned in part A, the 0, 4, 7, 7. We're going to do that for the first 2 down strums. So we're going to go down, down on that. So our down, miss, down, miss. Then we're going to go to the D chord here for the down, up, and chunk. And then we're going to switch chords on the up strum to that A chord. And that's going to be up into now the second half of this, miss, up, chunk, up, miss, up, down, up. The syncopation I mentioned before is an accent on an offbeat, and this is really, really accented by the A chord switching on the up of the last bar there. That up strum with the A switch is what creates the syncopation, which is pretty neat because it creates this really driving sound where you, kind of like your shoulders and head get raised a little bit when you hear that A switch at that moment. So let's go ahead and try this nice and slow, then we'll play it a little bit faster. Sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... One more time there. And just so that you can really hear it, I'm going to play it at full speed so you can really hear how this pattern grooves. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Really nice sound. And there you have it, a super spicy syncopated strum pattern to go with the awesome chord progression that we learned earlier in E Dorian. If you'd like to see how the first 3 parts come together into a jam track, be sure to subscribe and tune in next week for the final part of episode 4, where we put it all together and create a really cool riff and jam track. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave any comments down below. And if you'd like to download any of these workshop materials that you see displayed on the screen, check out my Patreon page, which is also linked in the description below. Thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you guys next week for the final part of episode 4. See ya.